This is the outskirts of Lincoln, Nebraska, home to cornfields, hills, heat, and the unofficial World Championships of Gravel, Gravel Worlds. If someone says to you, "Oi, isn't Nebraska flat?" Well, that would be a big negative because the entire 150-mile course has about 11,000 feet of climbing. It's very lumpy indeed. It's 6 o'clock on Saturday morning, Central USA time, and we're about to embark on a 150-mile adventure. We start off under neutral, but the pace isn't that neutral, holding somewhere around 25 miles an hour or 40 kilometers an hour if you're metric like me. And here we go on to the first of many gravel roads. In these scenes, I'm on the tail end of the front bunch, but it didn't take long for their rapido pace to greatly displease my legs, and I was out the back and chugging along all alone. But the good news is, I rode some of the early miles with Christy Moan, one of the promoters of the Dirty Cans of Gravel race. Christy and I swapped turns until she dropped me somewhere along one of the many hills of this course. Incidentally, I understand there were 87 hills along the full 150-mile or 240-kilometer course. That's a wee bit unpleasant when you make your home in north central Florida for most of the year, which isn't renowned for being all that hilly. But there are plenty of downhills to pedal flat out, so it sort of equalizes. The roads were in primo shape for much of the course, but there are many sections of deep gravel which put some riders into difficulty. You need to be very relaxed and allow the bike to float, especially if you start slipping and sliding around in the deep gravel or any kind of sketchy road for that matter. In addition to open roads and skies, the Gravel Worlds course features plenty of long and straight roads that can wreak utter havoc if the wind is blowing a gale. On race day, the winds were almost non-existent, which is rare for this part of the world. This is the small town of Tui, home to the first oasis along the course. I refilled here with Gatorade, which is known to mess up my stomach. So if you want to read more of my gory details behind this race, check out my race report, which is linked below the video. For those who aren't aware, like most gravel races, Gravel Worlds requires riders to be self-sufficient. That means no outside support from friends or family. You have to carry your own food and hydration, with options to refuel along the course at the 2 official checkpoints, oasis, or convenience stores. This is the town of Loma, and on the right is the Loma Tavern. For those wondering about the wheel set I'm riding, it happens to be the Zentis Kappa 2 650B carbon 4-spoke wheel set. I have a review coming soon. One of the rare times I had companions during the race. In this shot is Nick Lagan, the author of the book Gravel Cycling. Next town on the menu is Valparaiso, and this is Valparaiso from the air. This is one of 2 mandatory checkpoints, and where I ran into Jim Phillips, the bard of gravel cycling.
Heave Apollo, heave away!
Oh my god, what was that about, mate? To see the rest of his Gravel Worlds masterpiece, look for it in the link below this video. After the checkpoint, I rode with this group of lads on and off, working together as best we could. Here I'm pulling into another oasis and I ran into Jim knocking out yet another verse of his poem.
Way, hey, roll and go.
For the next leg, Jim and I rode together on and off, meeting again in the town of Malcolm, Nebraska. We spent a bit of time hanging out front of the Malcolm General Store after buying supplies. This is Malcolm from above. Note that the main road through town is dirt and gravel.
The anchor's on board and the cable's all stored. I'm getting tired. I can't remember the line.
After Malcolm, I rode on and off with Jim and Megan, otherwise known as the Cyclist Lawyer. Megan is a badass single-speed rider who ultimately took second in the women's single-speed category. On the right is the world's largest covered wagon, but admittedly it is a little bit underwhelming. Time for another store stop, 101 miles into the course. Notice the huge pile of empty bottles from cyclists near the trash can. About 27 miles or 43 kilometers remained until the next checkpoint. This was a tough section of course, close to the town of Denton, Nebraska. Sadly, I did not film the Denton Wall, which is likely the steepest hill along the entire course. And here we have Denton, Nebraska. More chunky loose gravel, and finally checkpoint number 2. Just 22 miles, or about 35 kilometers left to ride. In this scene, 5 miles to go. This was a long, hot, tough day in the saddle. The hills had done a serious number on my legs. The final sector of gravel, back onto pavement and back to the start-finish line in Fallbrook, an area of Lincoln, Nebraska. Nearing the finish line. My time wasn't super fast, but I was happy to finish, especially considering how I felt in the final 3 hours of this race. Corey, the tall lad on the left, is one of the founders of the Gravel Worlds race. Thank you for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the Gravel Cyclist YouTube channel. I'll see you in the next video.